Alright, let's remind you of some of the tuning stuff we talked about last night. Like when you're changing the strings, put the new ones on, you want to basically get all the slack out of the strings. So for these wound strings, the bottom three, you just take your thumb, your index finger, just kind of push and pull all along the length of the string there, and then check the tuning, do it again and again until it stays put. For the top three strings that are not wound, what I like to do is just like kind of push and pull with two hands, or you can just bend various places along the string. And when you do tune, it's important you always tune up. So this way you're tightening the string. If you don't tighten the string and you loosen it, then you could be putting slack in the string. So if you do have to loosen it to get it in pitch or get it in tune, bend the string after you get it down there, and then check the tuning again to see if you need to bring it back up. So hopefully doing those things will get your strings broken in better and it stays in tune longer. Alright, so number one here, kind of easing into this whole polyrhythm idea we talked about last night, which is these two chords evenly spaced across 1, 2, 3 beats. So when you're working on this, remember, if you notice that your strumming hand is not moving, or if it's not continuing on, do not go any faster, because we want to work on that pick hand control. Okay, here we go, 60 beats per minute, and totally fine to count more than what you're playing to keep track of what beat you're on here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 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 4, done. Under 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 1, 4, 1, 180, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's definitely possible to keep that hand moving the entire time. Alright, number 2. 3/4 time signature. So continuing the pattern of you hit it once, miss it twice. Hit it once, miss it twice. 60 beats per minute. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 1. 20. 1, 2, 3. 1, 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 3. 60. Changing chords after every 3 strums. 1, 2, 3. 20, 1, 2, 3. 180. 80. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Wrong way. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Next thing, working on playing the scales. Going up one, down the next. Up one, down the next. So because we talked about doing this 2 notes a click, I'll demonstrate it that way. Even though this is a 6/4 time signature, I'm just going to count off 4 just to simplify things. And I'll do it at 60. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now to get into the chord theory part. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is just show the whole window. So, we're just focusing on major, minor, and diminished chords. So what you're going to do is take what's in the bar, and you're going to have the same root note. So everything in this first bar will begin on the low E string. Everything in this bar will begin with the open A string, and so on. So we have an E major chord to start. Your job is to figure out how to make this an E minor chord, put it in that spot, and then an E diminished chord, put it in that spot. So A minor chord is shown here, so you're going to figure out how to make it an A major chord, and then a diminished, and so on. So, like I said, I will demonstrate this one here. So E is highlighted. E is the root note. How do we know that? Well, it says it's an E major chord. So we know that is interval number 1. And remember, that is, if you just look at these bottom 2 notes, that's just the foundation of a power chord. In fact, that is an E5 power chord. So remembering that shape will tell you there's the root note, there's the 5th interval. This highlighted note is also an E, which is just the 1 again. So even though it's at a different octave, we still count it as the 1. Another quick way to remember that's the 1. Think of your 3-string power chords. So that's what the 3-string power chord looks like, and that's what it is. So 1, 5, 1. Process of elimination tells us that's the 3rd interval right there. So G sharp is the 3rd interval. So how do we make that a minor? Well, if you remember, major chord is 1, 3, 5. Minor chord flattens that 3rd. So the 1 and the 5 and the 1 stays the same. You just hit your number on the keyboard for the fret number you want. So if 1 is the 3rd, or G sharp is our 3rd interval, we just subtract 1 or flat it, which gives us a G natural. From there, you hit the letter A on the keyboard, brings this up. If you did it right, you'll have the correct name auto-generated. If it doesn't say the chord name you're trying to get, it'll tell you what you ended up inputting. So if it does say a different chord name than what you are trying to get, something has gone wrong. Down here, it has the option to display the diagram. I always leave this display diagram off. I leave display diagram off because if you don't, it becomes a big old mess at the top of the page. So if you don't care if there's a big old mess, leave that on. If you don't want a big old mess, turn display diagram off. All right, so now we need to make this E minor into an E diminished. So remember, the only difference between a minor and a diminished is minor has a 5, diminished has a flat 5. They both have a flat third. So we just figured out that was the flat third, so that doesn't change. The root notes also do not change because the 1 and the flat 3 are part of the diminished chord, so those do not change at all. You only got to change the one thing, which is the 5. We have to take that 5 and flat it. So we take the 2, subtract 1, there's your flat 5. Hit A for the chord name, E diminished. There you go. So that's what you want to do for this. Let's see. All right. So if you have any questions with that stuff, let me know. And yeah, I think that covers it. All right. I'll see you again next week.